FPUC retro, baby. Viewers and myself, Americans across the board, are pushing for Joe Biden to keep his promise for FPUC retro back to July 2020 at $600 a week. He wrote it, he said it. He wrote it again and he said it. But in the proposals for the third stimulus package, he drops it. No FPUC retro. No $600 a week. Rather, FPUC going forward to the end of the pandemic at $400 a week. It's not particularly fair. In this video, I explain the concept of FPUC retro and why you have to fight for FPUC retro in advocacy for the third stimulus package. How to get UI, how to get PUA, what is FPUC, and how to do escalated benefits. Enjoy this throwback video explaining the concept of FPUC retro and unemployment on Overnights LALATE. FPUC expires next week, but is it going away for good? Or will it be coming back in early August? Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update today. This one's about FPUC. That's $600 from the federal government, which expires next week. And also UI and unemployment benefits. Let's get right to the news. As you know, FPUC, that $600 from the federal government, was written in the CARES Act to expire by members of Congress when they're on vacation. Yes, they wrote FPUC, that's $600 from the federal government under the first stimulus package, to expire when they're on vacation and not in session. So what will happen next week? Well, it appears that someone's either been watching this channel or someone's been waking up, because broadcast news is literally running FPUC videos and stories around the clock. They are really pissed off, as I am now, that FPUC is expiring while members of Congress are on vacation. But is it really expiring and then, or just lapsing? I really do believe that ultimately what you're going to see is a lapse, not an expiration of FPUC. Let me get to what I really mean. This is great news. I want you to understand that the $600 from the federal government, FPUC, was written to stop paying out in late July. That late July date is next week. So will you never get FPUC after that? I don't think that's the case. I think you will get FPUC after late July. But I think there's going to be a lapse, meaning I don't think you're going to get it the first week of August. You may not get it the second week of August, and then you'll somehow get it retroactively paid back for those weeks they missed. So what's going on? This is a little bit complicated, and I know it sounds a little convoluted, so let me get to the details. FPUC, as you know, goes on top of UI and goes on top of PUA. UI is your unemployment benefits if you are self-employed, a W-2. It's about $130, $167 per week. One viewer hated me and said, "You misstated the weekly numbers in Florida." I don't know every state's minimum numbers. Every state has a different minimum number. California's minimum number is 167. Other states is 130. One state is 99 apparently. Some are 199. That's UI. PUA is pandemic unemployment assistance provided for self-employed individuals. That was created by manner of passage of the CARES Act, the first stimulus package. Back in May, the members of Congress had, one of the few times they ever got something right, they realized, hey, we don't have unemployment benefits for people who are self-employed. What are we going to do with all these Uber and Lyft drivers? What are we going to do with all these plumbers and electricians? They have lost their jobs due to the pandemic. They can't work, or they're working less hours. We got to give them some relief. So they created PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. PUA is only for people who are ineligible for UI. It is a relief that provides unemployment benefits for self-employed individuals who are independent contractors. Ironically, the calculation is the same. So PUA people enter at the same level of base level benefits in the state as UI people. So in California, if you get approved for PUA, you start at 167. Just as people that come into California who start at EIDL at 167 per week. Pretty easy. All right, so then on top of UI, on top of PUA, comes right in the middle that big whammo, $600 from the federal government every week, called FPUC. Now, I gotta tell you, I gotta be frank with you. I mean, you see the number of videos I do on a daily basis about stimulus checks. The topic that I literally see running across the news morning, noon, and night is FPUC. I literally have 2 articles in front of me that I combined into one printout because there's so much written about so many news commentaries and news analysts and congressmen talking about FPUC every single day that it's really front burner. There is one topic that clearly is not going to be missed on the radar come next Monday all the way to August 8th is FPUC. So what's going to happen? What do we know is going to happen and what will likely happen? Okay, first of all, what do we know is going to happen? We know it's scheduled to expire next week, FPUC. UI is not expiring next week. That's important to understand. And FPUC, if you're already on it, is not expiring next week as well. I want you to understand that. If you're on, did I say PUA? PUA is not expiring next week if you're already on it. The reason why is PUA provides you 33 weeks of benefits. So if you started PUA just last week, you have 33 weeks going forward. If you start PUA in March, you have 33 weeks going forward. 33 weeks is not July. So UI and PUA is not, repeat, not expiring next week. What is expiring is FPUC. That's $600 per week. That's paid to you from the federal government through their funds, and it's routed to your state unemployment, who then pays you. That is expiring. So just because it's expiring, does that mean it's dead forever? I don't think so. It is my belief, based upon what I've seen out there, that it is not dead, and that it's going to get passed in a second stimulus package on or around August 8th. We know August 8th because that is the last day that members of Congress can pass the second stimulus package before they go back on vacation, because they can go on vacation while you sit around and have no unemployment benefits. Isn't that so charming? And they have the FPUC expiring while they're on vacation this week. It's that great American spirit of why you should vote their damn butts out of Congress. I mean, how dare them? How dare them pass a bill about unemployment to expire while they're on vacation? I mean, you cannot even make that up. It's just so disgusting. All right, so let's get right to it. It will expire. So will you ever get paid that week of FPUC come, not next week, but the week after, and the week after that? I believe you will get those missed weeks of FPUC paid back to you. So what am I talking about? The second stimulus package is likely approved on and around August 7th, August 8th, August 9th. If that becomes the case, then you would get, if it includes FPUC, you would get those benefits back for those weeks you missed. Now, I give you the good news, I give you the bad news. The bad news is that there have been some reports, and I'm going to say this is going to differ on where you live. There have been some reports that some states' computer systems are so antiquated when it comes to unemployment benefits that if FPUC expires in late July and is gone, so off their computer systems for a few weeks, and then approved to come back in August, that apparently some news analysts who have some inside track on these computer systems say these computers cannot just sort of push a button and put FPUC back in there in August and start churning out the money, that there may be a big technical backlog. Yeah, so I have to advise you of that. Ultimately, you may not, if FPUC is reactivated in August, I guess that's the verb I should use, reactivated or reinstituted in August in some capacity, you may not see those payments right away because there could be a computer delay. And if you're new to this channel, thank you for subscribing, because we're getting like 10,000 new subscribers every 48 hours. I mean, we've had viewers who really were put through the ringer in Texas and Florida and Hawaii when PUA went live. Their computer systems were so bad, everything was backed up. Ultimately, they got the money. They got $8,000, $5,000, $9,000 in single lump sum payments because they were waiting for 10 weeks of checks. So if you are dependent upon your FPUC check getting to you to make your bills in early August, please, please prepare for something else accordingly, because I do think that there could be a delay. All right, so let's get to the amount of itself. If FPUC gets reinstituted, which I'm reporting it will be, how will it work? Well, Democrats want it to be at $600, and they want it to continue all the way until next year. They don't want to limit it. They don't want to limit who gets the $600. They want anyone who is on PUA or UI to get $600 into next year. Economists agree. Economists actually say it should be more money. They say that basically when you face a financial cliff come late July, you don't start cutting back on $600 a week because you think you're overcompensating people. Because overcompensating is not a bad thing for purposes of the American economy. There's nothing bad about overcompensating a person for purposes of the American economy. It creates more stimulus. It doesn't create a negative factor for the American economy. It does create an additional burden on the federal funds, but it doesn't create a burden on the American economy. It helps the American economy more. But the economists also say that not paying enough of FPUC does create a horrible potential calamity to the American economy. So where do I see the number landing? Well, I think that you're going to see next Monday or Tuesday, you're going to see the Republicans' plan from Stevie Mnuchin and Mitchie McConnell, and I think they're going to say $300, $400 a week. I think they're going to say $300, $400 a week. And I would not be surprised if they change the name of what it's called. I wouldn't be surprised if they call it the Mitch Plan, or something that rhymes with Mitch, because I think they just don't like the name FPUC. I mean, I don't like it either, but I like the amount. So I think they're going to do that. That's the first thing. Second, if that happens, what you're going to have is two competing bills, the Democrat and the Republican, battling over 600, 300, 400. Next, I would not be surprised if Stevie and Mitchie try to restrict who gets FPUC. There's a lot of talk about caps coming from this group of cohorts, and they don't want to pay things to people who made more than $40,000 in 2019, and I think they're going to sort of push that as well for unemployment benefits. What am I talking about? They're doing this bit that everyone is, going to the Taj Mahal in a Rolls Royce and a Learjet because of FPUC. And it's just so not true. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. But they're signing these ridiculous reports that no one else cites that says, okay, people got 200% more money on FPUC than they were making as employed. Well, first of all, it's not true. I don't believe it, and I don't think it's true. But let's say it was true. Is there a harm about that? Are we going to really spend so much time cutting away at FPUC for a few $100s here and a few $100s there so that you cannot make people rich, but instead make them homeless? The downside of doing it wrong is far worse than doing it too much. It's as simple as that, and that's what the economists say. Here are the numbers. 20 million people are set to lose $600 of FPUC next week. Yeah. And Mitchie and Steve don't see that as a problem. Why have many Republicans expressed a dislike for the current policy? I mean, that's what the news article says. It's not even me saying it. Why are Republicans doing this whole dog and pony show about not giving them money? They claim that they're making too much money. Okay. Is that people can theoretically make more money for unemployment from working. That's especially true for low-wage workers. They're again citing that one report that 2/3 of the American public is perhaps getting too much money from unemployment benefits. We should never pay more people more money not to work, says John Corcoran, a Republican out of Texas. We should try to help people get back to work. Dramatically different. You can't get people back to work if there's a COVID-19 and you're on lockdown, Senator. And then if you want to get them back to work, are you giving them money for hazard pay? No. And by the way, Texas was the state that did not pay unemployment benefits timely back in April, May when this channel first launched. So here's the governor who has one of the worst records of paying FPUC in the first place, talking about getting rid of it. I mean, did they not see what they're doing? Many businesses are open. Many businesses want to hire more people today, says Mnuchin. Okay. Many? No, some. Come on, Stevie Mnuchin. Many more businesses are open. Well, more businesses are open than they were in April, but a lot of businesses are closing. 80% of business in California closed this week. So, I mean, these verbs like many and more are simply just not true, and I don't know why people think that they can just hit the podium and the soapbox and say these untrue statements. The $600 payments don't offer incentive to find work in the current labor market, 11% unemployment rate. So what they're saying is that, this is also what the Republicans are saying, is that the money being given to these people did not help them find more jobs. But Heidi Schulhoff, a director of policy at the Left Learning Economic Policy Institute and former chief economist at the Department of Labor, said cutting off the $600 cannot incentivize people to get jobs if they aren't there. Hello, let's say that again. Cutting off $600 doesn't disincentivize, it doesn't discourage people from looking for jobs if there's just no jobs to look for. Hello, I mean, it's so obvious. It's just so obvious. The benefits are what saving millions of jobless people from hunger and homelessness in the middle of the pandemic, says Ron Wyden, a Democrat. So, I mean, the benefit is you're preventing homelessness. So 25.6 million people are set to lose the benefit next week, and there currently includes 15.6 million Americans enrolled in unemployment. What will happen? I mean, this is a real shock to people, especially in states like Arizona, where the maximum benefits is $240 a week. Under this scenario, big trouble. Hard to say what's going to happen. If you have questions to today's video, drop them in the comments below. Stay positive, stay motivated, and stay focused. And as always, stay of LA for more.